I'm joined here with Adam Anders, who's the director of Journey to Bethlehem. First of all, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to faith?
Mm. Well, I grew up in the ministry. Actually, my parents were both in the ministry and missions and in the music ministry, and they left the classical music for gospel music before I ever came around. They met at the Royal Academy of Music in Stockholm. So I'm Swedish, and so I grew up in the faith because of
Mhm.
them. At the same time, though, they were really open and let us listen to lots of different music, and
Mhm.
uh, were really great at letting us learn about culture and art and different things. And yeah, it was a great upbringing. And my faith, one of the only, I guess, pastor kids that didn't leave the faith or rebel in some
That's
way.
good.
I guess they did something right. But my faith has sustained me my entire career in life.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you know, from Sweden, you've worked with many music artists,
Mm.
and so how did you get into that? And you've also, I think, a lot of people know you from your work on Glee as well.
Mm. Yeah, my dream was to be a bass player when I was a kid,
Mhm.
and that's as far as my dreams got. um, And then that happened, and then I want to write songs, and I started writing songs, and then I started producing them, and went on this great journey. Worked with amazing artists, and was moved to LA by Sony,
Mhm.
ironically, because Sony's putting out this movie. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, started produced big artists and wrote songs, hits for Backstreet Boys and Ace of Base, and all kinds of people. And but I wanted to get into film and TV.
Mhm.
Because I just loved storytelling. That's always been my passion, even when I was young. And I thought, well, the best way to get into film and TV is through music, since that's what I do. So I started doing music, and next thing I knew, it was Glee and High School Musical and Hannah Montana and the Jonas Brothers and Rock of
Yeah.
Ages, and just craziness ensued. But it was an amazing, amazing thing, and I learned how to make movies working with the
Mm.
best of the best
Oh,
by their side.
perfect.
And it was my film school, is what it turned out to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect, isn't it? And working in that environment, working in Hollywood, how did you find being a Christian working there?
It's hard, and there was so many Christians in LA. We call them
Mhm.
stealth Christians because it seems like
Yeah.
none are here. But I know I'm not alone, but a lot of times you feel
Yeah.
very alone. On Glee, I think I was the only Christian,
Mhm.
in that room, and that's hard at times, and my response to that, to knowing that, I was the outlier, was to just do good work and to be
Mhm.
excellent at what I was doing, and be kind, and try my best to just, knowing I had a microscope on me,
Mm.
to just be known for loving people and doing good work, and that's kind of been my motto. And I don't always do it well, but that's what I try to do anyway.
Yeah. I think that's the same for all of us who work in whatever industry or whatever job we do is that's how we try to be, to show that we are different, to show that Jesus really.
It's a little amplified in Hollywood, I think, because
Mm.
Hollywood is deciding pop culture for the world
Yeah.
in a way, and everything comes from here. So you can feel it. It's a pressure cooker. You can feel the
Mm.
tension, the spiritual tension, and kind of the battle that's going on,
Yeah.
uh, for like dark versus light. It's very Star
Mm.
Warsy here. um, and you can feel that. I really believe you
Mm.
can if you're a spiritual person, and
Yeah.
it's exhausting at times, but it also means this is where we need to be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you can see that in the movies that are coming out and the movie, well, that you produced and other movies. You can see that dark versus light
Mm.
happening on our screens.
Yep.
And
Mm.
so, you've made Journey to Bethlehem. What inspired you to turn that into a musical?
You know, it was 17 years ago, believe it or not, before all the things we just talked
Wow.
about happened. I
Yeah.
was just a songwriter, music producer living in New York with my wife and no kids at the time, and we were visiting her family in Iowa. And I was looking for something to watch at Christmas, and
Mhm.
there wasn't anything, and there was not a musical for sure.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, I had the idea, just like a bolt of lightning, like you should tell the Nativity as a musical.
Mhm.
It was all right there in front of me. Mary and Joseph's love story, the original Romeo and Juliet, Herod the villain, the wise men were my comic relief. Every movie needs comic relief,
Yeah.
and I just saw it. I got that vision, and I really feel God tattooed it on my heart at that point,
Mhm.
because I was not ready to make a movie 17 years ago. I would have made a horrendous movie. Um, but I wasn't, I just looked at it as I'm going to write the music and someone else will make the
Yeah.
movie. But God had completely different plans, and He pushed pause on this dream until I was ready to make it myself.
Hmm. Perfect. And this is the first movie that you directed.
Mhm.
Was there any part of the filmmaking that you found quite difficult?
All of it. It's I won't be so quick to judge movies
Hmm.
anymore. I can tell you, no, look, I've been around. I've made a lot of movies
Yeah.
for years, but I've never been the one responsible for everything. And
Hmm.
on this one in particular, I'm the writer, I'm the co-songwriter, I'm the director, I'm the
Yeah.
producer. I wore so many hats that it was tough. But at the same time, it was my baby, and I
Yeah.
wanted that. But I think it's a miracle when a movie gets made, when it
Hmm.
gets finished, and then yet another miracle when it comes out. And yeah, it's really an incredible amount of work that goes into it, but it's hugely rewarding creatively.
Hmm.
So I say I found my calling in my 40s, which is
Yeah.
very weird. But my whole life, I think, has been leading up to this, and I've been in training to do this.
Definitely. And when you look back at your life, you can see places where God had guided you to the point where you are now.
100%. Everybody that I came in contact with, people I learned from, I say failure is a great teacher.
Hmm.
And I failed so many times on this movie trying to make it. But then COVID hit in 2020, and I had 6 months
Mm.
with nothing to do and
Wow.
just sit and look at this and go, okay, what did I do wrong? What does it need to be? And
Hmm.
it was just an inspired time, and we started over, and this is what came out of it. And
Yeah.
that's when I decided, I've been asked to direct before, and I said, no, that's crazy. I have too much
Hmm.
going on. I can't start a new career. I'd have to walk away from everything because it's all encompassing. You
Mm.
can't do multiple things when you direct. And when I came out of COVID with this script, I was like, all right, I need to direct this. I can't
Yeah.
turn this because I've been doing this a long time, and I've sold movies. I've actually written scripts. I'd sold 6 other
Oh, wow.
scripts before, and they were so many of them were just butchered.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
I didn't even recognize what I sold. I'm like, what is this? And it was so frustrating. I'm like, I can't let that
Mm.
happen to this story. It's
Yeah.
too important. It's too important
Yeah.
to me.
Definitely. Definitely. And within that as well, you've got a fantastic cast working on the
Mm,
movie.
yeah,
Especially Antonio as King Herod. I mean,
he's
he
phenomenal.
just seemed perfect for that role.
No, I had him since COVID. The 3 years I had him tops my
Yeah.
list. Finished script. I'm like,
Wow.
who's Harry? And I just went, man, Antonio. I haven't seen him, and he's been on the opera and all the different family movies he's been in, Puss in Boots
Mm.
and Spy Kids, and he has this a charm. Yet he can be evil. He can sing like nobody. He's a phenomenal talent, and I just thought, man, how cool would that be? It was a long shot. You put your long shot at the top of the
Yeah.
list, thinking you're going to go to option 5 or 6 by the time you're done. But God had other plans.
Mm.
I pursued him and his manager, and his manager was like, "Yeah, I like the script, I like the song, but he's not available. He's busy directing and starring in a play,
Mm.
and he can't even be bothered with this." And I just kept pursuing it, kind of like I did with this movie for 17 years.
Yeah.
And I called the manager again, and I said, "Well, where is he directing and starring this play? Because I want to go meet him." And he said, "Well, Madrid, Spain." And I said, "Well, I'm in Madrid, Spain, so set it
Oh,
up,"
yeah.
because that's where we were prepping for the movie. So I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
And so I still couldn't get a meeting with him, so we just started buying tickets to the show and going. We just started stalking him. So finally, long story short, he came out after a show one night, and I got a few minutes to talk to him and pitch him
Yeah.
what my vision. And by that time, he had listened to the song and loved it, and he just
Brilliant.
really caught the vision and said, "Let's do it."
Awesome. And do you have a favorite part of the movie?
Mm. I think the nativity scene itself, I think
Hmm.
is so magical, and I had that vision in my head for so long, the image of the end of the nativity scene. And when we were running around on set, I was blocking the scene and with all the crew, and I was showing them. I had the music playing. I just turn it on. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we go here," and the camera comes out here, and then I'm like doing this whole song and dance, and then it finishes, and I look around, and everybody has tears in their eyes, and I'm like, "Oh wow, we're onto something."
Yeah.
And now, still, when I've seen it 1,000 times, I tear up every time I get to that part in the
Mm.
movie. It's so powerful. It's not what I did; it's what it means. It's what it means to me. It's
Yeah. I think for me, that was the most powerful part of the film as well.
Mm.
Um, it's just, yeah, awesome
That's
part of the
really
movie.
beautiful. It's really
Yeah,
magical.
it is. And I think as well, this movie really brings the truth of Christmas
Mm.
to the screen. And do you think in some ways we've lost sight of the truth of Christmas?
100%.
Mm,
100%. That's why I wanted to make this movie.
yeah,
You know, if nothing else, if people at least know what Christmas is about at the end of
yeah,
this movie, what the
yeah,
meaning is in Christmas, because we all celebrate
yeah,
it, yet they think it's Santa Claus
exactly.
and elves, and
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. And so, kind of the vision for the movie was, how can I tell this in a way that's as captivating and compelling and
Hmm.
vibrant as a Santa movie or an elf movie, but do it about Christmas, what it's actually about, so kids lean
Yeah.
into the story and want to know more, and families can watch it together and enjoy it together every
Mm,
Christmas. That was the mission, and yeah, hopefully it worked.
definitely. I think it does. I think it captures the joy of Christmas, the truth of Christmas. I just think it, yeah, just
And it's look,
captures it really well.
it's surprising too. It's in a different package than you've
Mm,
ever seen. It's heightened. I always say, if it was a super grounded like documentary,
hmm.
when they start singing and dancing to pop music, you're like, the filmmaker's lost his mind. Like, what is he doing? So you have to heighten it enough to where you can
Yeah,
justify dancing. And it's
yeah,
not a documentary. I say in the beginning of the movie, inspired by a true
yeah,
story. It's
yeah.
inspired by. It's not a documentary. They didn't sing and dance to pop music. But it is a true story as far as the
Yeah,
filmmaker is concerned, and you should watch it with
hmm.
that lens. Like, I
Definitely,
believe this is true.
definitely. And how do you think God will use this film? What do you hope audiences will take away?
Man, I hope it brings some light to the world right now,
Hmm.
especially this season with all that's going
Yeah.
on in the world. It's hard to watch the news. People need a respite. I think they need the hope that
Hmm.
is inherent in this story, and Jesus coming for a fallen world, a lost world. And man, I hope they can watch this movie and feel better than they
Yeah.
did before, and then they want to watch it again. I
Hmm.
hope this music lives on in their families and their homes. I hope kids want to ask more questions about
Yeah.
this and discover their faith.
Mm.
Um, and I just hope it brings a deep joy to families everywhere in the world this Christmas.
Yeah. Fantastic. And what's next for it? Stage version?
You won't believe it. I've already been approached for it. No, not even
Oh,
kidding.
really?
Last
Wow.
week, I was like, "Wow, that's early," but sure, let's go. I'm here for it.
Awesome. Awesome. And finally, how can we pray for you?
You know what? I appreciate that. I pray the strike ends here. It's a very tough
Hmm.
time. Nobody can
Yeah.
promote it except for me, so I'm running ragged. I'd really love for my cast to be able to talk about the movie, but also pray that people don't wait till Christmas to watch it.
Hmm.
I need people to show up early when this movie comes out. Go to theaters, bring your
Yeah.
friends, bring your neighbors, bring your people who aren't believers who just
Hmm.
love a good movie. This is the thing you can bring them to. It's much easier than bringing people to church. Go to the movies,
Yeah.
go early, go often, so that theater owners will keep the movie in through Christmas. Because if everybody waits till Christmas, it won't be there.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I just pray people show up and support this movie.
Yeah. And it's coming out in the US on November the 10th and over here in
Yeah,
the UK on November the 17th.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
yeah, all
Go,
everybody go see it.
go see it. Yeah, I appreciate
Go
that,
see it.
and thank you for the prayers. We need it for sure.
You're welcome. Thanks very much for joining us, Adam.
Thanks, Richard. Appreciate you.
Take care.